could be a possible. And I want you to think about what are some of the emotions or challenges that she may experience in those first years of church planting. Feel free to put a few of those in the chat if you want. We often hear words like overwhelmed, isolated, anxious, exhausted, unseen, lonely. And really, those surprises are those emotions are not uncommon or surprising for us. I'm going to tell you about one woman. I'll call her Sue. She prayed for years that she would marry a pastor. But what she didn't realize was how difficult church planting could be. She and her husband planted in a community that was resistance to their presence. And for years, they kind of carried the burden of this ministry and new work largely on their own. As you think about the woman that you had in your mind, consider this question while she's helping care for the needs of the church, who's helping care for hers? And what happens to a church plant when people who are carrying significant emotional, relational, and spiritual weight begin to struggle? Most of us on this call understand that church planting is both strategic and costly. And without support, women are at risk for isolation, burnout, disillusionment with the very gospel that they're set out to share in the church. On this screen, you'll see some statistics here, probably not new to some of you, but church plants reach people that established churches often don't. That's why we believe in this work. In fact, church plants are 6 to 8 times more likely to reach unchurched people than established churches. But yet, church planting also places tremendous pressure on our families and our teams that are involved in it. 1 out of the 3 churches close within the first 4 years. Women play vital roles on those teams. They disciple, they host, they lead, they welcome, they organize, they give counsel, uh, tons of support. And that often helps shape the culture of the church, especially the pastor's wife. But yet, much of the support, the resilience building support that's available within church planting movements is naturally directed towards the lead planter. And that makes so much sense. In fact, that's one of the things I appreciate about MNA is their intentional investment that's made in assessing, preparing, and caring for church planters. Those efforts are critical to kind of long-term ministry health. And so Parakaleo seeks to come alongside that work by providing intentional care and support for the women serving beside them. Because when women lack that support, the consequences are significant, not only for them personally, but also for the health and the sustainability of the church plant itself. Dr. Bob Burns writes in his book, Resilient Ministry, he says the well-being of a spouse is often the most significant human factor in long-term ministry sustainability. So we at Parakaleo wanna dream. So what if every woman in church planting had access to a supportive community that strengthened her in the gospel and then equipped her to navigate the challenges that are unique to church planting? That's why Parakaleo exists. So we provide relational, gospel-centered environments where women can process challenges, grow in resilience, and experience kind of meaningful community with others who understand their context. So you can see there we have kind of 3 sections. Our first kind of is the journey to resilience. These are modules that we have throughout the year virtually that focus on a gospel framework to help them grow in resilience for the long haul. We also have alongside groups. Many times these are peer support communities of 4 to 6 women, both in person and online. These are experienced. Most of those partner with networks or presbyteries that are moving to plant churches. And so that's what we try to do as well, is work with church planting networks and presbyteries to help women move from that isolation and exhaustion towards resilience and from merely just surviving ministry to engaging it with freedom and with hope. Um, so with networks and presbyteries, we're not asking you to build something new from scratch. We have a proven framework for over 2 decades that helps strengthen and extend care with things that are already happening in what you guys are doing. And so I want to invite you to some next steps. Maybe for some of you, it might be just simply introducing the women in your network to Pericleos programs. That top QR code takes you right to our website with our modules. You could easily send that link right along to planters to give to their spouses, or if you are in contact and know their names as well, coming from you as leaders, it would be extremely, I think they would feel very seen and cared for if it came from you. For others of you, it might be we want to look at what it could look like to partner with us to support the women and have it become an intentional part of your church planning strategy. So either way, we'd love to continue this conversation. I want to thank you each for all the work that you're doing in the PCA to advance the gospel through church planning. And just consider how we might work together to care for women that are alongside you in this mission. So, Chris, that's all I
Yep.
have.
Yep. Thank you so much. If you guys are not aware and want more information, reach out to Angie. If you have it, it is a really good opportunity to see how to support your church planters in a very holistic way. So appreciate it, Angie. And again, reach out to her. Throw in the comment section
Yep,
or the chat box down there your email just to make sure they can grab that as well.
will do.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. Thanks much. Appreciate it. Um, Other things I've got GA, of course, is coming up, and so do stop by the booth. There will be a few of us at the booth at each time. We're having I don't want to say smaller, won't be all the ministries there. It will be a few of us in a larger booth that you can come and stop by. But if you're wanting to meet with anyone in particular, be sure to email or text them ahead of time to be able to get on their schedules. You probably aware this year there is no lunch. There's no free lunch during GA in light of budget and cost cutting. Decided that find a I tell you what, find a church planter and take them out to lunch. There's your MNA goal for the week. Buy them lunch instead of getting it free. Other aspects is the ministry discovery. Please, keep that in mind. July 7th and 8th is our next one, but the application deadline has passed, so you can't do that. We about I think 9 couples there. We had what was it, Dean? I think we had 7 couples down in Charlotte and 15 couples in Lakeland, Florida. So we're doing moving along well. So keep that in mind. But the next one is in September. It's in Cincinnati. It will be the 22nd to the 24th. The deadline's July 10th. So it's just a month from now that people have to apply. So jump in now. Because of doing a bit more thorough process, we've kind of extended it a little bit to be able to handle everything that has to come along. So the deadlines come up fast, and summer is usually hard because people forget, and then the balls get dropped. So the next one after that is in November 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe. And that's in Denver, Colorado, at Deer Creek Church. Um, and the deadline there is September 11th. So likewise, if you have anybody to apply, they'll need to do it relatively soon. Any questions with ministry discovery or anything else along those lines? Any pertinent questions you've had? Okay. All right. Um, Next is multiply church planner preparation. That is, we're going to just have one a year right now. We had one scheduled for this upcoming November. Complications and issues there at the church that was hosting it. We have all decided that's not. The next year, November of 27, is the Global Missions Conference, and we will be participating with MTW on that because church planting is all part of global missions because the US and Canada is part of the globe. So some partnering there. But right now, I think we're going to continue to do having the 6 tracks moving forward on that. Attendance has been reasonably good. Sometimes we have to cancel the track. If you and again, it will be in Birmingham at Covenant Presbyterian Church, March 9th, 10th, and 11th. So it's just just a little less than a year from now. But be sure to have your folks sign up or encourage you to attend. It's sometimes it's been great. We've had in track 6, mission chairs, network leaders attend, and they're able to dialogue in those contexts. Any questions on that or in general? Um, and there was a request to email those dates for ministry readiness. Ministry readiness. Oh, the readiness seminar, Clint. Is that what you're looking for? Are you able to be verbally present? Because you usually are quite verbally present wherever you are, Clint.
Thank you so much, Chris, for your
You're
encouragement
welcome.
today.
Yep.
And now let's close in prayer and shut Chris down for the day, brothers. Yes, if I may have missed that. Yes, the ministry readiness. A couple guys are interested in going through, so just want to make sure I have those dates. And you may have already sent them out. I missed them. Sorry.
Yeah, no, those dates, Stephanie, when's the readiness seminar? Now, again, the ministry discovery is AKA what used to be called church planter assessment. The next one is in September 22nd to 24th. Deadline is July 10th. Then it's November 10th to 12th, I believe, in Denver, Colorado. Deadline is September 11th. The readiness seminar that is usually done prior, kind of the earlier assessing form. Those when are the next ones scheduled?
October 16th and 17th will be at RTS Charlotte, and then September 25 and 26 will be in the Philadelphia metro area.
Okay. And
Yeah, all
if
those dates would be great. Yeah, all that would be great. I'd love to have
yes,
both sets of
yeah,
dates. Yeah.
stick that in the chat box if you would, Stephanie. And for any of you, really do encourage Dean is recruiting for Charlotte. Okay. Uh, no, that's a good one. Charlotte or Philly. Um, the readiness seminar was always much more located at a seminary base, which worked great. But since we're seeing an increasing number of those preparing for ministry or interested in this, not located in a brick and mortar campus, we're actually trying to move it more into your presbyteries. So if you're encourage you if you have people that are kind of discerning early stages, should I even think about church planting or just they're interested in ministry and where are they at in the spectrum for ministry, the readiness is a great opportunity. You can host it in your presbytery. I would say at this point, unless we want to see Stephanie's head explode on the screen, you can't do it anytime in the next 3 months, 4 months. I'm waiting for an expression on her face to see when she says that's okay. If you want to do it in November, but I'd encourage you to think about 27. There is a runway that's involved with this stuff to get things set up, to get people in the process for you to recruit and know how to do it. But if you have any questions with that, touch base with Stephanie, or feel free to reach out to me. But Stephanie's the one that really heads that up and does a great job with it. All good. Any other questions with that? All right. We are also at that starting now that time of year in which we are wanting to record new churches that are being, mission works begun, core groups established, anything your presbytery has designated. You have an action by your presbytery of a new work. Doesn't some of them sometimes presbyteries start new works? They don't have a planter yet, but they have a core group and they're recognized by their presbytery. Or you've called somebody and they're beginning the work. This is not for interns, and they're thinking about it. Nor do we do care about churches that are underway, but that's not this reporting. So anything in 2026 that your presbytery has begun, we need that information. You'll soon start getting emails every month or so, and then they'll be every 2 weeks, then they'll be every week. I don't know if we're going to go to daily emails getting you to give us that information, but if it hits November and we have not heard yay or nay, if you haven't started anything, that's fine. Let us know. Towards the end of the year, that is, in case something starts later. I don't want to have to show up with a baseball bat and be the enforcer for that. It's important. We started 54 new work started last year, the highest number in 20 years. So let's see, by God's grace, if we can beat it again and keep seeing this all move forward. Any questions there? Okay. Lastly, want to share a little bit. Some of you are aware that Lily has reached out to us and invited us to apply for a grant. This is not that they post, here's something, if you're interested, send it in. It's a non-competitive invitation only grant. I'm not sure how many they did it for, 50 of their nearest and dearest friends. Murray and I were in Indianapolis last week with all the folks that have been invited. And you had everything from Coptic Orthodox to Syrian, Greek Orthodox, a number of dioceses, and every permutation imaginable of American Protestantism. But for the first time, they have reached out specifically to what they would identify as evangelicals and in smaller kind of groups within networks that they see or they would like to apply. So we have this grant. I want to very quickly kind of walk through what we have so far. A number of us met in Gene, one was at April, May. This was it April? Yeah, it was April, wasn't it? Yeah. In Sevierville. No, we did not go to Dolly World or Dollywood or whatever for fun. But we did some brainstorming and put some stuff up based on what some of the work that I had started with. But the idea here is we're really the term that I'm using. Let me back up. Lilly is very specific on what they ask for, and they have definite parameters. They're not just saying we have money to give you, use it however you want. They want to see new works begun. They want to see these things done in a more collaborative way, and they want to see some degree within your tradition of innovation. So there are 3 sections to this grant. The first are strategies and practices. Second are you're creating healthier infrastructures to support those practices and strategies. And third are financial resources and structures. Of that 5 million, 3 of it goes to the first 2, the strategies and the infrastructure. So in those 2 places, this is what we have so far. First objective is creating launch labs. Now, this is one thing that I will be reaching out to you guys in a matter of time. I'm trying to get my screen back on. Are you there? Has everybody left me?
No, we're still here.
We can hear
Oh,
you.
good. Because I don't see
We're
you on
here.
my screen right now. And I don't know why. Okay.
We see you.
We see you.
Well, that's all that matters because I'm the only one that's important here. Okay. Then I'll go back. So yeah, please stop me because I can't see anybody raising hands and I don't know where my oh, there you are. It's a okay, swapper. Okay. Sorry. These in the next coming weeks, I will be sending out to everyone. It's an informal, it's not a highly scientific, but a survey just trying to gauge presbytery health with respect to church planting. So what infrastructures does your presbytery have with regard to church planting? So how many churches you planted, how many closed, how many particularized? Do you have a presbytery budget? Do you work with individual churches? Do you do any training? You know, it's about 24 questions. Most people, it takes about 5 minutes, 6 minutes to answer it. Not heavily involved. This is part of the planning grant that we're doing in order to create this, because the idea is we'll have a launch lab model. What's a launch lab model? I'd like to find, again, this is going to be somewhat subjective, but numbers will take a look at this. What are the presbyteries that are healthy, engaged, moving forward? We're not going to pour all of our money into them. We want to talk to the second tier. The first tier, we want to mentor the second tier. If we can use the tier language, that can be a little off-putting. But in order to encourage those that are most actively engaged, we are looking at contracting with a development organization to help train someone in your presbytery that you identify that could help raise funds for church planting. Where we've seen this happen, there are some very good results. Our normal pattern for raising funds for church planting is to go to the churches, and if you're in a network, we say give 2% and from the church budget, you accumulate it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine, but it's somewhat limited. We want to help train presbyteries to know more how to engage individuals and how to give. Part of this too, I think, will help the established churches, because as you are talking to individuals about giving to church planting, the conversations can also be giving to their own churches. So it will have a double benefit. For that second tier is how can they learn from those that are more engaged and having seen some degree of health and success with planting. So that's what we mean by a launch lab. The next part of that is creating coaching cohorts or stacked coaching cohorts. It gets a little weird. I was just down here with the Birmingham cohort. There's a Nago that has a cohort Dean's doing for church planting. Elliot Grudem's Leaders Collective, and either making those more accessible, having money if someone wants to participate in there, or to start some other ones around the country, so that people can get this kind of cohort model, but get coaching involved. When I say staff coaching, the idea would be the planter and his coach, if the coach is willing and able to attend. And then we would bring in perhaps, a fundraising coach and an administrative coach, and have that group kind of functioning together, feeding off of each other in a healthy way. The third objective to this first practice is they were looking for an integrative assessment to placement pipeline. And they're really wanting to see what can you do with lay leadership and bivocational. The lay leadership end in some ways is helping us to recapture somewhat of what was done in the distant past. And there's probably some of us on the screen that can remember the distant past. And that is, we don't start with core groups because we've seen some issues there, but are there positive things? What about ruling elders getting church plants off the ground? If we provide training and resources that can keep that new work moving forward. Similarly, with bivocational, we have some presbyteries that are not in favor of it, and that's their choice, but we want to help normalize this idea of bivocational planting. And at least having those conversations, it's going to be important as we move forward. That's not been our history, at least for the last 100 years, but it has been part of our history prior to that. So those are the strategies. The next thing are the infrastructure support system. They're looking for, how are you going to use technology? And some of this is, creating a CRM, so we can track planters, better communication. Along with that is also taking our church planter resource guide, a lot of what we do in Multiply, getting it online, not just a list of links to text documents, but any short videos, podcasts, other things that is highly searchable, but really deep, that any planter can access if they're looking for very specific information. So it's kind of the wedding of the Multiply in person with the information that's accessible there as well. But some of the funding would go into that. Then others, integration pathways, helping us think through more clearly of bringing people into planting that historically haven't. I mean, one of the challenges we've seen is with rural church planting. What do we do there? What about immigrant communities and other ethnic minorities? Some are doing well. What are the ones that may need some assistance? The final part, so that's 3 million that can go into all of that. 2 million goes into direct funding of church planters. But of that 2 million, 1 million is a matching grant. So we need to raise 1 million to release the 1 million. So we end up having 3 million. That money they want sent directly to a church planter. Now we're going to be holding that money, but I don't want MNA to be the one saying, you can have $100,000, you can't have any. So creating a system in which presbyteries can make some of those decisions on their own, as I think they should, apply for the grants and send them out. They want to see that money be not regulating, that it would continue, so it would probably be a loan. We got to keep refunding it, but make it refunding in a way that is healthy and beneficial. So that's what we're looking at right now. Some of the other aspects with the funding, as I mentioned, with the labs training people to be development, I wanted to have a program available for our planters, similar to what MTW is with their ministry partners, is teaching our church planters how to be fundraisers and how to do a good job at that. Because we have too many people saying, I don't have a clue, I don't know where to begin. So having an organization come in and create structure for that, and to help MNA raise that extra $1 million that will go to help supply them the funds for church planters. Some of the money will go directly to cover some of the salaries of existing staff, of any new staff as well, and build that in. So that is a quick overview. As I'm we're writing it now. It's due August 19th. If you or your presbytery would like to have a conversation with me about it more, I'm wanting to beta test it. Like what I'm doing now, it's a water hose. You're not going to remember any of this. But if this interests you and you think your M&A committee or your presbytery, members of your presbytery, doesn't have to be your committee, and or network want to hear more, reach out to me and let's see if we can set up some times. I've got budget to be able to, from Lily gave some planning fund money. I can physically come in if our schedules can mesh, given the time allotment we have. That's a quick dump, and I'm somewhat apologetic for it, but not that much. Any questions, any thoughts that you have at this point?
Chris, I have a question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
A lot of the Lilly grants aren't available in Canada just due to cross-border thingies.
Yeah.
Do you know if this one has any limitations to those of us who live north of the border?
I was thinking of a somewhat sarcastic response or snarky response. I'm very sorry, Ben.
No, that's fine.
No, they're clear. It's got to be U.S.
Okay, no
based.
problem.
And I said, but our MNA is U.S. and Canada, and they said no.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
That's typical for Lily, so that's what I just wanted to
yeah,
double.
yeah.
So
Now, what I will say is, and this is where I think we can keep at the conversation. None of the money can go there. Let's keep talking. Are there places and ways, information
sure.
and some of those tools can go?
Yeah, or the infrastructure piece or coaching, like some of those things maybe we
Oh
could
yeah,
chat.
yeah, yep, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Those things can work. So John Erickson has his hand raised. Oh, you're up there. Yes, John.
Yep, up here. Yeah, so thank you for that. When you were talking about the strategies and practices in the launch lab, you were talking about presbyteries and surveying the presbyteries, but then at the end you were talking about church planters and their coaches. So I think I lost a little bit of the plot there. Is the idea to help presbyteries have a better infrastructure, or is it to help individual church plants to have a better
Yeah.
infrastructure?
Help the presbyteries have a healthier, well, the healthy infrastructure really is denominational. So that's the CRM, client relations management system. That's the church planter thing, church planter resource guide, if you will, that would be online. On the strategies end, there are three parts of the strategy. One is to get the presbyteries helping each other. Rather than MNA coming in saying we can help all the presbyteries, but us coming in a little bit more behind the scenes, encouraging presbyteries, take the lead in helping your brothers across the border, but not the Canadian border. Sorry.
Okay.
Although we're doing a great Windsor Detroit plant right now, we are partnering there. That's great stuff. But no, but then when it comes to the coaching cohorts, because those coaching cohorts are often trans presbytery, like the one I was here, I'm gonna forget where they were all from. They're all from all over the U.S. And so that's a healthy feature to have them intersect and relate. That makes sense. Yeah.
I got it. Okay. There's two separate things.
And with those, I'm often looking for, it's not so much that M&A is going to create the coaching cohort. It's similar, like I said, what's Anago doing? What's LA Grudem? Now, we're not going to pay them directly, but we would cover the cost of that planner to attend Birmingham cohort. And then are there other churches or presbyteries that they would like to create a cohort like Birmingham? It used to be called Cahaba Park cohort, if that's more familiar. It's rebranded, relaunched. Letting presbyteries own some of that and share their DNA with the rest of the country.
Got it. Thank you. And just a quick one, you mentioned the first tier and the second tier. Is it the third tier, or they're just two tiers?
Yeah. It sounds so stratified, and the idea is, as I've worked out over the years, each year we keep moving the ball. Now the key is, one, do they want to engage with it? I know I'll send the surveys out in order to know how presbyteries are doing. To have those conversations will necessitate people replying to the survey, and some just won't. Some are like, no thank you, where we got it, or that's not in our purview. But the idea is to get those that are the most engaged. Then I would love to see even those that had been mentored to mentor someone else. In an ideal world, yes, it's a pyramid scheme, it's a Ponzi scheme. And so if you get involved first, you'll make the most money. No, sorry, that's not the case. But it is trying to multiply this relational aspect. We're not going to just stop. I'm looking at first for 4 or 6 each of those, whatever's manageable, and have that over time multiply.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, quick question. Thank you for this. Sounds great. Could you speak to where seminaries fit into the grant and how you're thinking about seminary engagement with the Lilly uh,
Yeah, this
process.
this grant, let me say it carefully. The seminaries are not directly part of it. Um, the other grant that we're working with Lilly is the rowing together that covenant got that all the agencies. That's the pathway. So that's earlier in the pipeline. At this point in the kind of what we've constructed, we're looking more to presbytery, increasing presbytery strength. Not that we're against any of our seminaries, rather than seminaries.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Phil asks, will you email more info about the Lilly grant? Yeah, to some extent, yes. Because if you've ever worked, and Phil, you probably have with some of these grants, it's this huge long document and gets very specific. I guess the best thing is if you have a specific question about it, let me know. Again, the final permutation of the grant, we're working on it. We're going to have one or two or maybe three different grant writers take a look at it, and then we submit it in August. I'm giving you the early information, but things might change. So I'm not going to kind of what I shared here. I'm pretty confident those are the categories.
Yeah, I would just look for their defined purpose, the likely scope of things that they would want to fund, and what kinds of examples of either network or presbytery initiatives that would likely fit within that. And we can get creative, but I would want to fit with
Oh
what
yeah,
their intended
right.
recipients are going to accomplish.
Yep. And so when I was down there last week, that was very much making sure, and we have read the document.
Right.
They're the ones that set out those three main objectives, and the sub objectives that I came up with have a direct relationship to what they're looking for. Now, some of the things that they might look for just won't fit into who we are, and they're okay with that. But maybe
I would just
that's
look for a very brief paragraph from you.
yeah.
Just say, here's
Okay.
a summary, executive summary of the nature of it. And I'd love to throw ideas out, but I'm not going to throw it in the wrong direction.
No, that's fine. Shoot me an email and I'll respond to you specifically. I'm just at this point wanting to be a little careful, not broadcasting everything out and then,
Okay.
trying to juggle with that. But I think your eyes on this kind of thing could be very helpful. That's great. Questions? Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you so much. As always, please reach out. Anything I can do. I've talked about a number of things that are available to help encourage you guys doing the work that you're doing. Look for those emails, and after each presbytery, get us the list of the sites. If there's a planter that's been identified, beginning, and all of that. We are looking to do a lot more data analysis of how we're doing things. Jeff's working on that. That's obviously, it's going to take a little time, but we're excited to see how that helps us. Okay, good. Well, I'm looking down at the other end of my screen. John Jones, would you close us in prayer, please?
Let's pray together. Our Holy Father, we thank you for your ministry to us. We are amazed that you should use us for your work in the advancement of your kingdom. We ask that you would forgive us for growing lukewarm or even cold. Remind us, Heavenly Father, in your tenderness of what a privilege it is to serve our King Jesus in this way. We thank you for the leadership of Chris, and we ask that you would providentially carve open time and energy to be able to continue to lead us well. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for gathering us together that we might minister not alone, with others. Holy Father, would we cherish that more and more. Thank you for your many kindnesses to us and to our larger church, the PCA. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.